Hey guys, welcome back. It's me, Sal Mahajan, and in today's video, we're going to be discussing about life cycle policies. So, in the previous video, if you guys watched about the different storage classes, this is where life cycle policies will come into place. So it's basically a concept wherein you can move your objects from one storage class to another according to a few policies. For example, you have an object. That object has not been is in the S3 standard storage class, and that object is not being accessed for about 30 days. So you can set a lifecycle policy that if an object is not accessed for 30 days, you move it to standard infrequent access. And again, you can set another policy or another life cycle policy that basically states if this object that is in standard infrequent access has not been accessed for 90 days, then you can move this specified object to an archive level storage class. So basically, you are moving your objects from one storage class to another on a specific set of rules. So let's dive direct into the S3 console so I can show you guys how this is done. So let's go ahead and create a new bucket. So you can see I'm here in my S3 console and we're going to click on create bucket. I'm going to again leave everything as default. I am not making any changes to any default settings. I'm going to leave everything just as it is. I'm just going to give a random bucket name, maybe test bucket. Let's give it as a life cycle test. I don't know, test bucket, some random numbers. Okay, perfect. And I'm going to leave everything as default and go all the way down and click on create bucket. Yep, here you go. So we have our bucket over here that says lifecycle test bucket and some numbers. So here you go. This is our buckets. Now we're going to head over to the management tab because the management tab has this basically has the life cycle rules over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on create life cycle rule. Let's give it a rule name. So I'm going to put it as my test rule. Uh, Choose a rule scope. You want to apply this, limit the scope of this rule using one or more filters, or you want to apply this rule to all the objects in your bucket. For this use case, we're going to put in apply to all objects in this bucket, and we're going to acknowledge that we want to do that. Now here are basically rule actions that you have. So the first is move current versions of objects between storage classes, move non-current versions of objects between storage classes, expire current versions of objects, permanently delete non-current versions of objects, delete expired object delete markers or incomplete multi-part uploads. As you can see, a lot of versions have been mentioned, which means you can also implement lifecycle rules with versioning. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick to the basics. That is, we want to move the current version of the object between different storage classes. Now we're going to come down. Now this is where we're going to put in our rules, that is transition current versions of objects between storage classes. So uh, let's take that our first rule is going to be that if an object after 30 days of creation of that object, we want to move it to standard infrequent access. And after, let's take maybe about 90 days of that, we want to move that specified object to Glacier instant retrieval. So this is our basic rule. After 30 days of object creation, we will move that to standard infrequent access. And about after 90 days of that object creation, we will move it to Glacier Instant Retrieval. Again, you can see these are the different storage classes we can move it to. You can even add more transitions. For example, um, you know maybe after your the only option that you have is to move it to flexible retrieval or to deep archive after instant retrieval. So there you go. And if you can see, this is your, you can review your transition and expiry action. So on day 0 your object was created, on day 30 your object is moved to standard infrequent access, and on day 90 your object is moved to Glacier instant retrieval. So we're going to click on create rule. There you go. Our rule has been created, my test rule. And that is about it. Now you guys can go ahead and you can upload an object. Of course, I've put the days as 30 over here. So if you guys do not want to wait for 30 days, you can just put it as a day or two as your lifecycle policy to move it from standard to standard infrequent access. Upload an object. And after 2 or 3 days, or again whatever the days that you have specified and the transition rule, you will be able to view that your object has moved from your S3 standard to S3 infrequent access, or whatever storage class you wish to move it to. So that's basically about it for lifecycle rules and configurations. And the reason why people use this is, or why organizations use this is to reduce your costs, because when you keep going down the line in the storage classes, is your cost to store this, your cost per GB actually reduces. So if you know that you have some object that hasn't been touched for the previous 90 days, there's a high probability that this object will not be touched or will not be accessed in the near future too. So you can keep moving it down the storage classes and move it maybe to an archive level, or the instant archive, glacier instant retrieval, in the scenario that you may need instant access to that specified object. So I hope you guys did like this video. If you did, please make sure to leave a like, do subscribe, do comment if there are any topics that you guys would like me to cover. I hope you guys have a great day ahead. See ya. Take care. Bye bye.